Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of my Developer Diaries. My name's Chris Cook. I'm the sole developer of this game, which is currently called Peasants. The idea behind this game is it is a sort of village builder slash city builder with a layer of kind of sim management similar to that of, I guess, like The Sims. So what I want from this game is you have the normal duties of developing a city, making sure it flourishes and grows, expands, making sure you can adequately cater for all your villagers. But at the same time, I don't want the villagers to just be a stat which is just there. So you have X amount of villagers, and each one of those villagers has no needs, no cares, no wants. They just basically just do whatever they want, what you tell them to, and you could put them as a farmer one day, you could put them as a blacksmith the other day, and they would just adapt and continue, and it would be like they'd been used to that job for their entire life. What I'm trying to do is actually make the villagers seem a bit more real. So each villager has their own stats. So for example, they have like strengths. So actually, if we have a look, ignore the pictures, but they have strength, charisma, intelligence, constitution, and leadership, and jobs. Each job, so for example here, the blacksmith will require different so if I get rid of this, at the minute I've just been playing with the UI, so ignore this bit here, it's a bit broken. But you can see here that the bonus here is strength. So if you assign someone who has a high amount of strength to this building, they will actually be better than someone who isn't strong. And on top of that, we have stuff like traits as well, which can also influence that. And then villagers then also build up experience in that job as well. I talked about this in the previous episodes, but basically the longer a settler does that job, the more experience they will gain, and the better at that job they will be, less chance of accidents, etc. that they'll have. So again, you can't expect someone to spend 30 years of their life doing a single job, put them as another job and expect them to do that job just as well. It just doesn't work like that. So yeah, since the last dev diary, I've done quite a bit to the game. Sometimes the changes aren't always so obvious. There are a lot of back-end changes, system changes and stuff that I've been working on. Been also trying to focus on trying to get a demo out and ready. So the demo that I want to get out might not have all the functionality of the game that would be there if I was releasing to the public, for example, but it's more of like a developer publisher demo where it's what you can do, what the game's about in 10 minutes. So if I were to show this to somebody, it doesn't matter if certain aspects of the game don't quite work as intended or they happen too fast. The idea is to start trying to build some interest, so I can take this to people and go like, look, this is what I'm trying to develop. This is the intent of the game. This is basically a broken down, feature-packed version of what the actual game will look like. So yeah, I've been working on that the last couple of months, or weeks, should I say. But some of the stuff I want to go into this developer diary is so player interactions and animations. I've really tried to start making the world feel a little bit more alive. So if we just want some more people and put it, so each job has job hours. So if it's like the morning and evening, for example, they won't actually be working. They'll be doing their other stat increasing activities, so like engaging in social interactions, going to buildings and doing stuff, maybe going to pray, maybe going to somewhere else to watch something. So for example, if we look now, this is the morning time, and you can see here that, for example, peasants that actually engage in social interactions now have these animations, and although these are quite simple animations, they really do make it feel like people are alive and they're engaging in interactions. This here is a tavern, and the idea behind this one is that it's almost like a group social interaction. So everybody who's inside this will all, so you can see here, they're all increasing their social standing with each other, which is a really good way to kind of bring everybody together and bring those social interactions up village-wide quickly, rather than having to depend on 2 people randomly meeting. So you could have like 5 or 6, 7 people here, and as long as they're in here, this will just increase and increase and increase. And we could add multipliers on that later on in the game as well, so maybe like the longer in there, the faster it actually rises up, because you'll be drinking. But we could have adverse effects as well, like maybe in here, that if you do get a negative social interaction, which actually brings it down, maybe it can be a bit more aggressive because of, it's a pub, maybe they've fallen out over something. So yeah, but other than that, just more animations. And again, like I said, these really help bring the place to life a little bit more. If I get funding at any point, or some way of bringing some money in, I will plan on actually hiring an animator to do a lot more animations, because at the minute there's not that many, and yeah, the more you have them, the more alive it feels. Some of the other stuff I've been working on is relationships, as you just saw. So you can click on here, and again, ignore the UI, I'm still working on it, but you can see that these are the relationships that this person has with all the different villages in town. So we've got a lot of pluses, some minuses as well. And again, these all have impacts with other stuff. So for example, Hugh here, she's got quite a good relationship with Hugh, or he has. If those two are in a house together, it'll give more and more bonuses, while for example, if she was sharing a house with Rolf, because they're on a negative social standing, that would actually decrease her happiness and have more adverse effects. So they've all got like lock-ons, and we can feed that into more and more systems as we go along. We've also been working on love and marriage as well. So basically, if you have a male and a female, we might expand that later on to be same sexes as well. I'm just trying to theme this based on the time, like a medieval time and stuff. So that would have been a lot more, against that pit time period, for example. But that's not to say that I will add it. It's just something at the minute I haven't quite added. But for example, if you get this guy here, just lock this guy in selection and get this woman here, and then set in love. So that guy that I just had locked in, but then 100, which means that they're technically in love. And then if they don't have a spouse, that will then make them their spouse. So these two are in love, which again will give bonuses if they're like in the same house together, if they're around each other, if they talk to each other, we'll give them like a quick bonus, like I recently talked to my spouse. But then what you can also do if you build a church, is that you can then click on actions, and this is a new thing for buildings, which is building actions. So each building, or some buildings, give you actions. So for example, if you're basically a settlement, you have pay the king and upgrade your settlement. It's like 2 base actions. But your church will have stuff like marry villagers and other stuff. And then in here you can click it, and these are the 2 that we saw earlier. These are 2 that we set in love. So these are available to marry. So if we click on them and then click marry, they are now married. We can just find them. So you can see here, married, and then what that now means is that if those 2 are in a house together on a night and they're sleeping, they have a chance of creating a child. And because I don't have I can't create any more character meshes really. I need an artist to come and help me do that. For now, they are just these scaled little characters at 0.5 times. Very cute. I have a little bug at the minute where you can actually assign them jobs, which is definitely not intended. You don't want a 1-year-old being a blacksmith. But if you click on these, you can see that this guy's 0 years old, just because I spawned him at 0. Right now he's sleeping, but usually he'll just be playing, and he'll just be walking around here just playing, making sure he's near a building. If they have a mother, if their mother's out and about, they will go to their mother as well and stick with them as well. So if you see like a settler walking about and a child behind them, that's because they're following the mother. I'll probably change that to be mother and father as well, but again, just going with the time and stuff, the father would usually be at work or whatever, while the mother would be looking after the children. Sorry, they're all just sleeping at the minute. That's why they're all stood still. I've been playing with values and stuff, so they're actually, and because I'm putting it back to morning, they're not actually getting any sleep. Just feel the stats, so they're all back awake again. Some of the other stuff I've been doing is UI work, which is why they're a bit broken, but we now have the ability to dock UI as well. So for example, go to the debug menu in a minute. So now we can kind of like keep track and stuff. So for example, if you have a house and you want to just kind of like keep track on what's going on there, you can dock it and you can press this and it'll take you to it. You can see the actions and all the occupants and stuff as well. And it all works just as same as if it is floating, which is really good. Added the ability to auto assign villagers. I want another button here which auto assigns the entire house. You don't have to do it individually, but you can now assign them a lot easier rather than going through the villager list. This isn't as efficient, as in you don't get villagers that have the same kind of relationships or other reasons why they should be living together. But if you need to quickly just place down a house and just quickly fill it, you can do. And again, you can just look where they are. You can eject them now as well, which is useful. We have fresh water. So looks like this is actually broken since I've last done it, which is a bit annoying. But this well now should supply houses with water as well. Yeah, it looks like that's not working typically. But yeah, so you will want for people to be happy in houses. You will want to supply them with like heat and fresh water, as well as a market which will give them supplies. So that's what that will do. One of the other major features I've put in as well is, as you might have just seen then, is entryways. I was running into a lot of issues where if you don't have these entryways, which is the green arrow platform in front of the building, you can have issues where these can be placed on top of each other and all sorts, and it becomes quite difficult to actually assume there is free space in front of it. So I had a few issues where villagers just couldn't get to buildings because there was no free space or there was just something blocking it. And also with the nav mesh on a map this size as well, we can't have the level of detail like you would in it if this was a smaller non-dynamic map as well. So for example, if I had like a entry point here and they couldn't get to it, it was causing all kinds of issues. While now I know for definite that the front of this church will always be in nav mesh and it'll always be clear, so I can have like safe fallbacks where I put like a point here, so they can always try and get to somewhere closer. So if I have an entryway here, they can always try and get to it, but if they can't, at least I can have a fallback, so they're not just kind of on the spot trying to work out what to do while not completing an action as well. Cool. And then yeah, some of the other buildings I added is a chicken farm like here, so you can what I want here is that you basically you can get as many chickens as you can buy or as you can breed. So like right here there should be 4. Yeah, there's 4. But you can, obviously, if you didn't have any chickens, you wouldn't have any there, but you can have more and more and more. So you could, if you have enough chickens, you could spread them over 2 farms, for example. I also did a chapel as well, and the reason for this was because the church is such a big building, and I really want this to be like one of the final buildings that you build. It really defines like a town, and as I said before, I actually have different stages of settlement. So for example, if we have the camp, outpost, hamlet, village and town, and because I wanted that last, but I still need, again, trying to stick with the times, I don't want people to have babies unless they're married, because that is just how it would have been in those times. So I did the chapel, which is basically like a small church, and you can build this at the hamlet settlement stage. So you can build it pretty early on, like in like half an hour of having a settlement, and in at this point, this gives you basically the same actions as the church. You just can't do some certain stuff. So for example, here you can actually have a priest who will go around and talk to people and do certain things as well. Yeah, and then one of the other big changes which I've just recently done this week is building on slopes. So you might be able to see, but it's the ground's got a lot of undulation now, especially like if you look up here, and we can actually build on top of these places, which is really cool if you want to do stuff. If you want to build like a farm on a hill, you know, you can put all the farmland here and stuff, and it'll look really cool, and you can get some nice shots from up here, which always looks really good. And you can also build on slopes as well, but it will, because what I'll do is if I go forward with this and decide to actually choose to do this in the main game, I'll probably rewrite the system. One of the problems I've got at the minute is if you pick a slope, you can see how, like, you know, for example, the tents are actually going in the ground and the rocks on the left are actually hovering off the ground. I could do stuff like angle it, but that's only going to be half the battle, because if it's a really weird angle or whatever, I'm still going to get the geometry intersecting with the landscape. So if I was to actually do this properly, probably come up with some kind of solution where each of these meshes inside, so for example all of these tents, they actually are separate entities, and they basically do their own trace to the landscape, so that even though the building blueprint itself would still be a cube collision volume here, so I can show you what it looks like. So you still have this cube collision volume here. Each of the meshes would then align themselves to the landscape, so you could have really kind of undulating and irregular landscapes, and the meshes would still kind of, you know, for example, if you had like a ball, you wouldn't have like loads of stuff intersecting, they'd all kind of like trace themselves to the ground. You could even rotate them a little bit to kind of cater for that as well, and it'd look a lot more realistic. But again, that's a lot of work, and I need to really make sure that that's something that I want to do going forward. Cool. Yeah, some of the other stuff as well is the notifications. They now stay around forever. One of the things I was noticing was that you would basically see something at the corner of your eye, and after a few seconds it would go, and it was a bit annoying. So now they just stay around forever, so you can kind of like look back on what's happened. I think what I'll do again going forward is split this into a two-stage system, so the notifications down here do still disappear over time, but these are the like something has happened within the last 60 seconds or whatever, and then I will have some kind of like history viewer, where that even though these have gone, you can then look back in the history viewer and see everything. So once I've finished here, they'll all get pushed to the history viewer, and you can basically like look back over the entire history of your village and what's gone on. We've now got also level 3 houses as well. So these are big stone houses. So you can see here we have some issues with the intersection on the ground here because it's built on a hill. But yeah, so we have level 3 houses, which are pretty cool. I've also made it so that houses, you can, does that make it so you can? No, but basically if you build them, they will now choose different meshes each time you build as well. So there's a selection of 3 different houses. And again, this just allows it so that I want to do this for more buildings as well, but you have some variety in your village. It doesn't just look like there's the same building stamped everywhere. You have like different variants, and then I've also got the material variants that I need to add on as well. So even though you have these 3, you can have like 6 different variants of each building as well, material wise, and that just really ramps up. So the village should look quite different, based on how many buildings you have in. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Some of the other stuff I've just been working on as well. So if we just actually, can I get rid of that, or is that stuck on? Oh, okay, yeah. So if I just put daylight again and show you, so there's some of the other stuff we're working on is landscape painter. So you can now paint down mud and grass as well. So if you want to kind of like make like a central area which is all muddy, and have all the houses around it and stuff to show this has been walked on, you can do, and you can change it to grass as well and add the grass back in. This is something I'm not sure I want to keep in. I don't know if I want it to be more natural, but again, I like giving the players the ability to do whatever they want. Again, it's quite cool if someone wants to make certain stuff. You can use it to make paths that kind of come around, and all sorts. Although I have also got people building paths as well, so you can see it here. It's starting to take shape, where the more that the characters walk, paths will start to generate in those spaces. So you can see here, yeah, and it just builds up. So the natural paths will appear. I need to try and find a way of actually reading that information, working out where's the most trodden, and place down path volumes so that after a while they actually become a path and then use more and more and more. So you have these natural paths that appear, and then the villagers do stick to them as well, which is really good. I did some work on the path tool, but I'm going to probably scrap this and start again. So yeah, I've kind of got these kind of curved paths. These work with the undulating landscape as well. Got some weird issues. I think that's because of the undulation here at the minute, but these do create, you know, volumes, which will then place down these nav volumes as well, and then villagers will stick to them as well. I think that's pretty much where I am at the minute. Oh yeah, I made the defense tool as well. So this allows the player to kind of pick a different kind of fence, and actually, is this working? Yeah, I think I might have. I haven't actually looked at this since I did the undulating landscape, and I think what it's doing is tracing to 0, 0, 0. Sorry, the height, I think it's going to just 0. It's actually going under the ground there, which is a shame. But yeah, that I did a little video of that as well. Again, not entirely sure if I want to keep this. I do like the ability to build fences, but I'm not sure this is the right method to use it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, here I've got it. So you can add these fences. You can make them as long as you want, and then you can, you know, it should automatically join up. Well, it's not doing it there. Only that's game dev for you. So you got like a cobblestone one here. We've got the wooden one. Again, it's all a bit junky. It's not quite fully working. And then the final one is the spiked walls. So if you want to make a bit more like a defensive town, you can do. And yeah, so you can have these like nice little walls and stuff. So yeah, I probably will keep this in. I do like being able to do that. Just need to really come up with a better solution for it. I don't know if this is the actual the right way I want to do it. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, needs as well. I forgot to show you that. But when, again, if we find 2 people, just lock this one and this guy here, and just set them in love. You'll now see that they have needs, and this one here is just marriage. So they're going to have a bunch of needs that you can kind of click on, and these can be, some of them are quite arbitrary, they'll just appear. So based on who they are, you know, it might be like, I need something done, I need something built. And then when you build, like, you know, for example, a tavern, if you got like a drunk, he'll say like, I want a tavern. When you build it, it'll increase their happiness. But this, for example, is a conditional one, so this is because they're in love and they want to get married. I've got added some more happiness modifiers. So, for example, here, I've recently prayed is an extra one, and then someone has got married. And so I modified the system for this to have timed happiness modifiers. So what this does is basically tracks the time since it was applied. So you can have, for example, a settler was recently married will last for 6 months, and then I was recently married will last for a year. And so, like, you know, if someone does get married, it kind of just lifts the whole spirit that everyone in the town as well. So it's another reason to do it as well. Oh yeah, and I also it has been a busy month. I have also added the ability to craft different stuff as well. So, for example, in the blacksmith, you can, these all cost the same amount to build. They just change the variety that they build. So, for example, you can convert 10 ore into 10 metal, into 2 tools, or 30 nails. And where's the other one as well? I think the chicken coop. Yeah, so you can now do chicken or eggs. And the reason for that is, you know, I didn't want a different building. I wanted quite a lot of different variety in resources, but I didn't want to create tons of different buildings for that. So this way you can kind of like flip-flop between what you need without having to you have the overhead of having so many buildings. Yeah, and it just makes it, you don't have as many jobs and stuff as well, which is, it's quite nice. And what it does is basically reset the production amount when you do it as well. So if you're halfway through building metal, you can flip it off to tools, and it will keep the, well, after using more resources, but you'll lose the production value that you applied to this, so it'll reset. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm aiming to get like a demo ready by March time. I can start showing to people and really go like, this is the kind of game that I want to build. This is what makes it unique. So yeah, a lot of the stuff I'm going to be building over the next couple of weeks, it might be a little bit fake or a little over the top, but it's meant to kind of get the point across of what this game is meant to be. Still trying to come up with a name. Still haven't quite settled on anything yet. I'm not sold on Peasants, although some people do like it. So if you think of any suggestions for names, I'd love to hear them as usual. And yeah, thanks everyone again who's been following me so far. We have a Discord now as well. I think I mentioned that in the previous video. There's a few people in there, which is a nice little community building up. We talk about some blueprint problems as well. We discuss the game. There's some really nice people in there. So if you want to jump in, I'll put the link in below. And yeah, if you want to just follow along, again, just hit the like and subscribe if you can. Quite a generic thing to say, but it really does help. And if you want to talk about the game, whatever, feel free to message me. I love talking to people about any kind of ideas and stuff they have as well. So yeah, I really appreciate everybody's support, and anybody who's watching this, thank you very much. And yeah, thank you. Cheers.